So let's talk about teams here. If I'm going to start inviting people here, then they're going to need to have a role. And in the past, I've accepted people as just kind of general, vague labor, which is not a very good thing to do. I think people should have very specific roles and goals and measurable goals, and have a team that they're on with somebody managing it other than me. I want to only manage managers. I don't want to manage very many individuals, unless maybe they're specifically helping me on my issues, of which I have a few. One of those teams, and it's probably one of the more important ones, is an on-site group of people who are working on sculpting the land. And that includes both plant and earth. But the primary thing is the removal of two kinds of plants here. One is a grass that is rumored to be non-native. It might have come from Spain, and it's everywhere. It's big, and it will actually take a couple of years to get rid of. We'll have to chop it down, and then it'll want to grow back. So we'll chop it down again, and we would chop it down, for example, after the rainy season. And we could do that with either machetes. A lot of people with machetes, which is cool. Or we could do it with weed whackers. That would also work. And we would divide the land up. And the other plant we have is this one here. I don't know what it's called. I just know the local name. And we can use weed whackers on those and machetes as well. We would then stack the sticks into places we want a fence, a place to control where people walk, or into big huge stacks that we could burn later. Although we don't have to burn them. We can just have big stacks of rotting sticks. That's okay, because you know what else that provides? Is really good habitat. If we do burn the sticks, that's okay. It makes a little garden spot, because we've grown things in those burn spots and they grow really well there. You know, chard and lettuces and various things. And so a massive wave of cutting on at least parts of the land would be good. Although the more of it that we do, the better, because then the seeds won't be around. And there's places like this place right here that's a really useful area, but it's just grown over. And then the other thing we can do is we can shape some of these white oaks. In this case, I have bushy white oaks, and that's because we just cut the oak and it grew back. And that's okay, not a problem. It's like coppicing or pollarding. But I want to cut the lower branches so we have more human space below it. And like here, we can cut these branches right here. They're just going to get bigger. They're a waste of wood. And we can burn them. We could, wait till they're thicker, whatever. We could also have small chainsaws. Maybe even like electric chainsaws on a portable generator with long extension cords. And see how much those use in power, which I don't think it's that much. So we could probably even run 4 of those. So we could go to an area with 4 people with these, and then 2 people for just gathering branches. So we have land clearing teams. And really it's land cleaning teams, because we're not clearing it to be empty, we're cleaning it up. Like this whole forest here is a really great forest. It's all regrown from it used to be pines, but you can barely use it now because you can't walk through it. There's too many branches. But if we selectively killed some of the white oaks, as few as possible, we would start with actually just cutting the branches so you can walk through it, and that way we can see it. And I've got other plants put in there. There's a mulberry tree over there. I'd like to get a bunch more mulberries and take better care of them. It's a great tree. Get rid of all this acacia. There's acacia all through here. I don't like acacia anymore. It does produce poles, but I guess dividing the land up is the key. So also people can feel a sense of accomplishment. Because if we just, in a scattered way, try and do everything on such an enormous piece of land with, I'm imagining a team of, let's say, 20 people part of the year, twice a year. Sounds good. And these would be people who we would be considering for other roles as well. But they'd be proving themselves that they can work hard, doing physical work for 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And we would choose the toughest of them. And some of those might stay in that role if they like it. Some people like that kind of thing. I don't. I get really bored really fast. And the decision whether to use gasoline tools or hand tools is kind of a complex one. And of course the answer, as with most cases for either or questions, is both. But they're noisy. The machines are noisy. I don't like them. And so that means I would suggest having a bunch of that work happen during one part of the year. And it would happen in different parts, because I've defined on a map different sections of the land, but there's nothing to indicate that, so I have to print some of those maps out. And I also have to start planning for walls. Now you would think, well, why have any walls? Well, walls are super important. They're really important for raising animals. They're important for controlling my dogs, so my dogs don't bother wildlife. My dogs are very annoying. They're like my best doggy friends here. I love them. They're wonderful. But they're reducing the amount of wildlife around here, and that goes contrary to my other goals. So I have conflicting goals. Fairly annoying, but that's how it is. All right, so that's one team. And that team could probably be put in tents. The times of year that we would have for them, since these are people who we're kind of starting to accept into the system, but we may not know them as well. Physically strong, physically healthy. I would say after the rains sometime, and I'm going to say December, February, actually, because it's starting to get drier then. And if we damage those plants a lot then we've removed their ability to have sun, and they don't have a lot of water. And then we could do it again. I mean, I was thinking kind of opposite parts of the year, but I think we could hit them again. Let's say it was late January, okay? That's a fairly quiet time here. It's fairly cold. The nights are long, so we would have a early day start and a shift in the late day as well when it was cooling off, but mainly it's early work. And so we'd go out with, form with lamps and form in a place with a lot of lighting, be ready to hit it, and then hit it hard for like 4 hours. And at that point it's too hot. And then maybe in the afternoon have some other related things, but I want to be running eco building programs here all year long anyway, so there's going to be activity going on all the time. My point is, my hesitation is, I don't want someone doing the same thing for too long. It's annoying and it's boring. But the cool thing is that doesn't conflict with a lot of other things I have planned, and so the noise doesn't bother me as much. So, I don't know. I mean, I've only picked one part of the year so far. And I said I'd do 2. That's not right. Problem is, the rest of the year, I don't want the noise. So, and then I'm tempted. Well, I don't know. I think right now there's so much land that it's an overwhelming task. But I think if we break it up and we attack a certain area and we attack it hard with machines, then we can do other things to, I mean, as an example, we could take these grasses or this plant here, and once it's cut down, it does start to come back. And we could cut it down for 2 years. We could do the same thing, and that would weaken the root system enough that it's going to be diminished. So, I mean, I hate to give it a whole year to recover, especially during the nice, pleasant, rainy season. It'll just shoot right back up. And the problem is animals are really not that into these plants. If I did have goats in an area, like all this land over here, I could fence off. That's a cost. And I evaluated the other day that it would cost me $16,000 just in materials to fence this place. And usually you can estimate that labor is going to be 150 to 200% of that. And I tend to overpay slightly because I'm paying for loyalty and goodness. You know? I want people to like working here. So, given that labor is fairly cheap, I would like to make sure my workers are happy if I hire local labor. Now, the people coming here as volunteers, they might not get paid anything. They get to go to a really nice environment with really awesome people, and they'd be paying with their labor. In fact, I might even charge them more than that, since this whole free thing is bullshit. If you say something's free, my God, you attract the worst people. They think they're wonderful, so valuable that they should never have to pay to travel. But they're terrible workers usually too. So I'm not big into like trying to make volunteers do real work. I would rather dump my money into the local economy and not have to deal with these people, you know, feeding them, talking to them, fixing their problems, babysitting them, risking my local reputation for them. So I don't even know if I like the idea of this team. But if it was managed right, it is an option. Let's go on to some other team. See you in a different video.